Well now, tryst revealed. Oh, was I imagining it? I could have sworn I saw you both at the bar. You two looked awfully close, like a pair of lovebirds. No, it's not what you think. Oh, why am I bringing up this matter with you? I should report my findings to Mrs. Sakaki straight away. Please stop! You don't have to do that, sir! The madam finds out about this, I'll be out of a job and a home, and I can't have that happen! If you tell me the truth of what happened 3 days ago, then I won't say a word to anyone. Fine. I'll confess everything. Mr. Inaba, I can't believe you would sink so low. You have some nerve pulling the stunt that you did. Silence. It worked. Before I start, what I'm about to say here needs to strictly stay between us three. Of course. That night, on the 9th, I was in Mr. Sabaki's bedroom. We were actually, you know... Then you two really are dating? Please keep your voice down! Yay! I was right! My intuition was right all along! Ha! In your face, Mr. Inaba! Voice down, Nina! Shush, Arimara! I'm sorry, Miss Sasimoto. Would you please continue? Right. And afterwards, I went upstairs to the 3rd floor to use the shower facilities. Shower? So you and Mr. Sabaki were Nina! No! That's not what I intended for it to sound like. This is the housekeepers who that use the shower facilities after midnight. Can we get back to the conversation? Please. Yes, sir. I'm sorry for getting sidetracked, sir. So, I was with Mr. Sabaki in his bedroom at around 10 o'clock p.m. And I went to take a shower on the 3rd floor by 11 o'clock p.m. It was around that time where I ran into Mr. Ishihara. Oh, so you also saw Mr. Ishihara? Yes, ma'am. Apparently, he caught me sneaking out of Mr. Sabaki's bedroom. Mr. Ishihara followed me to the 3rd floor, where he then proceeded to lecture me. It went on for nearly half an hour. Whoa, 30 minutes? Talk about hardcore! Mr. Ishihara takes his job pretty seriously, indeed. After the lecturing, I was finally able to take my shower, and then I stuck back into Mr. Sabaki's room by 12 o'clock midnight. Oh. After that, I went back to my own bedroom at 1 o'clock a.m. Then the next morning, Mr. Ishihara summoned me. Unless he thought he was going to continue his lecture from yesterday at that time. So what is it he talked with you about then? Mr. Ishihara said to tell no one of meeting with him last night. Oh, it's an odd request. Yes, I didn't understand it either, ma'am. However, he said in return he won't tell anyone that Mr. Tsubaki and I are a couple. For even though I kept my bargain a secret, you two figured it out anyway, even though I tried so hard not to let anyone know. Now it was by pure luck that we happened to stumble across your tryst. Please don't say a word of this to the madam. You have my word, Miss Sasimoto. I'll keep this information of your relationship with Mr. Tsubaki and meeting with Mr. Ishihara in confidence. I don't know what to say, but thank you so very much, sir. No, it is I who should be thanking you. You told us a very valuable piece of information. It was really nothing, sir. Yes! I totally called it. Come on, Mr. Inaba, tell me again about how that was nothing but sappy tripe. You're enjoying this a bit too much. I'm not gloating. Nope, not me. Regardless, we've gained some very valuable information from her testimony. You're right. At the time during Mr. Sakaki's murder, Miss Sasimoto ran into Mr. Ishihara, so that means they both have an alibi. In a manner of speaking, it's Tsubaki's alibi, too. Now, Now I can understand why Sasimoto and Tsubaki won't come forward with the fact that they were together. It doesn't explain Ishihara's motives for wanting to conceal Tsubaki's and Sasimoto's activities, or alibis, pardon me. In doing so, he's concealing his own alibi as well. Maybe there's some kind of extenuating circumstances? Maybe he was the ghost author of doing all the signing. Doing the A word that I don't remember. So, can we... Oh! He's actually dating Mr. Tsubaki. In his bedroom around 10 p.m. Took a shower on the 3rd floor at 11 p.m. Ran to Mr. Ishihara, lectured for 30 minutes, 11:30. Went back to his room at 12. They all have solid alibis up until 11:30. I'm Mr. Ishihara. 11 p.m. It's technically after the murder. Which means Mr. Ishihara was out and about and didn't want to be found. Sasimoto is now here. Ooh. Summary. Let's go talk to Tsubaki. Mr. Tsubaki, could you tell us where you were and what you were doing last night? Still questioning for alibis, are we? Last night I drank for a bit and went to bed right after. Therefore I suppose I don't really have an alibi past midnight. May I ask you a question, Mr. Tsubaki? What is your personal opinion of the two victims? You want to know how I feel about my father and my eldest brother? When it comes to my father, well, I guess you could say I respect him as an individual. His work was beyond reproach. I'll admit that my father's biggest flaw was that he was too strict on himself and others. It doesn't change the fact that I still think highly of him. However, I can't say the same for my eldest brother, Natsume. He selfishly abandoned his duties and ran away from home. It came to light that father's health was deteriorating. Natsume swooped back in with the sole purpose of claiming the inheritance. I won't lie to you, detective. I hold nothing but the highest order of contempt for my eldest brother. Did the two victims ever cause trouble for you? When it comes to Natsume, how should I put this? We both started antagonizing each other from the moment he set foot back inside our home. With my father, the chances to even meet him were extremely scarce. However, I did have a couple of opportunities to see him while delivering my work reports for the week. There was no conflict. I see. Thank you for your time. We've seen enough to know that... Oh? Oh, hello. Can we question you about Miss Sasimoto? Hi, dear. Dr. Harima, may I have a moment of your time? Have you seen these gloves before? Is something the matter? I have a favor to ask of you. What? Oh, right. I see, you want me to investigate the surroundings for any blood-soaked clothing. That way you can have your complete focus on the case? Exactly. Keep in mind that the killer may be tempted to burn or wash away the clothing. Anything to get rid of the incriminating evidence. Roger that. Let me go ask my dear husband to guard Miss Sakura in the meantime. Why Dr. Harima? I know what you're thinking. Ye may seem flaky at times. He's always the first person I'd turn to for help. He has my back as much as I have his. Oh, it's so cute! It is. Stop, you're making me blush. Now then, time for me to start investigating. I'm counting on you. Where are you, Dr. Harima? Miss Sakura, last night were you playing card games with Azusa, Aoi, and Arimura in her room? Yeah. They came by my room around 8 p.m. and stayed until midnight. Due to the time, they all ended up having a nice sleep over here. It was a lot of fun. Did you notice anything unusual or out of the ordinary at the time? No, I'm sorry. May I ask you a question, Miss Sakura? The two victims ever caused trouble for you? Trouble? No, not really. Although I don't think those two didn't like me too much. What makes you think that? They both seem to have a problem with how I handle things. I'd have heard earlier that I assisted my father when I could with personal matters. The truth is, it was mostly Mr. Ishihara who helped him out. That's why he was mostly just plain angry at me. Nevertheless, I still dearly love my father and my older brother with all my heart. You're a good person, Sakura. I see. Thank you for your time. I still think that was... Assuming that Rindo's motives, Rindo's will was written willingly, I assume that was the intent. To give it to the person who absolutely wouldn't make a mockery. Or person who didn't strongly need it. There's one thing I want to... Okay, just wanted to see. This was the save file where I checked the laundry myself. Alright, back to business now. Mrs. Sakaki, could you tell us where you were and what you were doing last night? Of course, Mr. Inaba. I went to bed early last night. I have not been feeling well lately. Do you recall the time that you went to bed? Let me see, I believe it was around 10 p.m. May I ask you a question, Mrs. Sakaki? Did the two victims ever cause trouble for you? No, sir. They never caused me any sort of trouble. My wonderful husband was the love of my life, and Natsume was my precious firstborn child. I see. Thank you for your time. No, it is I should be thanking you, Mr. Inaba. You are not only working one case, but two. Can't imagine how taxing it must be for you. You are quite kind. I guess. All things considered. We should finally go see. Should hold off on hearing what Miss Shimizu has to say to everyone's alibis and search the entire mansion for clues. Alright. What am I missing? Are you still shining? Oh, Dr. Harima! I'll take care of Miss Sakura. Thanks, Doc. Nice cardigan. It feels very out of place here. Feels like there's something here I'm supposed to be pinpointing. Kaki's bedroom. Why can't we go in there? Oh, we can go in here freely. Now we have to go talk to you again. Check the laundry again. Can we go to bed? Good night. Jump cut time. Hang on a second. What is that? This is Ishihara's room. Looks like this fell out of one of the suit jackets. Looks like a necklace with a cherry blossom motif on the pendant. It's really lovely. I didn't expect Mr. Ishihara to be into this kind of stuff. Oh, hello. Excuse me, what are you two doing? Oh, Mr. Ishihara, I found this necklace lying around. Is it yours? Yes, it is, actually. I've been looking everywhere for it. I'm so relieved that you found it. Is this necklace important to you? Yes, it's quite precious to me, ma'am. A little while after I started working here, Miss Sakura handmade this necklace for me. A gift from Miss Sakura. Wow! She really poured her heart into making this. You two must be super close. No, it's nothing like that, ma'am. Oh, you must be mistaken. My sincerest apologies, sir. Ma'am, I must be returning to work. Oh, right. Here you go. You can have your necklace back, Mr. Ishihara. Thank you. Now, if you'll excuse me, then. I don't know about you, but I totally sense that there's more going on behind the scenes here. Could it be a forbidden love between a butler and his mistress? I'm starting to think I can't take you anywhere. You're incorrigible. You were right the first time, Nina. You were right the first time. Can we now go see? What else? Talk to Sakura? No. Can we let trigger something with Tsubaki? Maybe I need to do more investigating upstairs. Oh, hold on a minute. What is this? There's something underneath the bed. Oh? Look, it's a key. There's something else too. Ah! This towel is soaked in blood! Does that mean this towel was used in the murder? And this key? It has has some kind of initials on it. NS. Could NS stand for Natsume Sakaki? I guess it could also stand for Nadeshiko Sakaki. Maybe we should double check this with Mrs. Sakaki? A sound suggestion. Let's go. That's harder to make excuses for. But then again, I'm sure it's quite easy to stash that away there. Mrs. Sakaki, is this your key? No, I'm sorry, but that isn't my key. I have it on my person, look. Oh, hey. This NS key we have looks exactly like Mrs. Sakaki's key. You know what that means. It begs the question, why was Mr. Natsume's key in Mr. Kurita's room? We should just ask him ourselves. No time for pleasantries. Let's hit him where it hurts. You're awfully fired up about this. I'm ready for the murder flower puns. I apologize, Mr. Kurita, but there's one last thing I need to ask you. We happened to find Mr. Natsume's key underneath your bed. Could you tell us why you were in possession of his key in the first place? Eh? Why was Mr. Natsume's key in my bedroom? Did he give his key to you? No, sir. I didn't even know about it, I swear. Please, you gotta believe me. Mr. Kurita, you don't spend much time in your own quarters, do you? No. I basically just sleep there, sir. Spend the rest of my time going between the garden and the sunroom. As today, I've been up since 5 a.m. tending after the plants and flowers. Do you lock your room? No, I don't. I recommend you lock your room from now on. Yes, sir. Now then, we must be continuing our investigation, if you'll excuse me. Yeah. That should be everyone's alibis. Should we go check with Miss Shimizu now? It'd be best to not keep her waiting too long. I believe you said she'd be in her room. Yep. Well, okay. Wow. We have learned a lot. Sakura and Mr. Ishihara, Ms. Sasamoto and Tsubaki. So you're finally here. I believe you have something important to tell me. Yeah, I know who killed Natsume. What? You do? The one who killed Natsume is that damn butler. There can be no mistake. Eh? The killer is Mr. Ishihara. Completely certain. I saw it myself. On the night of the day before yesterday, that butler went into Natsume's room. Why would Mr. Ishihara want to see Mr. Natsume? That butler is definitely the killer. How dare he kill my Natsume? I'll never forgive him. I'll kill him. I'll kill him with my own 2 hands. Please, just remain calm, Miss Shimizu. Hey, detective, you heard what I said, right? You were silent this whole time, but I can tell the cogs are turning in that head of yours. The butler did it. I want you to find out why he did it. What was his motive to take my fiancée away from me? I'll do all I can. Thank you for the valuable testimony, Miss Shimizu. I must go piece together the case, so I'll be taking my leave. Arimura, shall we? Huh? Oh, yeah, right behind you. If you'll excuse us. Night of the day before yesterday. So it would mean the evening of the 10th? Didn't we arrive to this mansion on the morning of the 10th? Yes, apparently there was something that Natsume and Ishihara both needed to discuss with each other. Perhaps they're having a secret meeting. Now to think of it, wasn't Mr. Natsume in an extremely good mood yesterday morning? Even his family noticed. It may all be connected. We should go see Ishihara and ask him ourselves. Do you think Miss Shimizu will be okay? She seemed rather distraught. I don't think there's anything no you nor I can do about it. You're right. What we can do is reveal the murder and bring them to justice. Yeah! And no one is better at catching criminals than you and I. Let's go, Mr. Inaba. Sure thing. What? Hey, Mr. Inaba, there you are. Investigation request has been completed. Thank you. What did you discover? Well, I searched every inch of this place for any signs of clothing that was soaked in blood and burnt, washed away, or otherwise disposed of. Sadly, nothing was found. I see. Also, I managed to briefly get through to the police station, and the lab results came back for the drugs used in Mr. Sakaki's system. The analysis shows that the drugs were one and the same as Miss Sasimoto's sleeping pills. That's great. We've got conclusive proof of this. Yeah, though I guess it was a bit of a foregone conclusion, considering Miss Sasimoto is the only one taking sleep medication in the entire residence. Thank you for all your help with everything. Don't mention it. I'm just glad I could be of some help. I'll go take over Miss Sakura's guard duty again. The killer really managed to find a way to avoid getting themselves drenched in blood. The question is how? Didn't we literally find bloody towels and shit in there? Like, I kind of want to walk that back and just make sure I wasn't losing my damn mind. Don't run away from me. Mr. Ishihara, can I have another moment of your time? You certainly may. How can I help you, sir? On the night of the 10th, Miss Shimizu witnessed you entering Mr. Natsume's room. May I ask what was your business with him? Is there something you're hiding from us? Surely one of you must have discussed who was the person responsible for murdering Mr. Sakaki. Tone must have said, yes, it has to be Miss Sakura who killed her own father in cold blood. She did it to secure her inheritance, or something to that effect. How dare you! Miss Sakura would never harm her father. If you're going to slander her, I have nothing further to discuss with you. Eh? I almost sincerely apologize, sir. Ma'am, I don't know what came over me. No, it was I who spoke out of turn. It worked, though. I provoked him. I will tell you what happened. I will tell you why Mr. Natsume and I were having this secret meeting on the night of the 10th. Are you really okay with telling us this? Yes, ma'am. Somehow I believe Mr. Inaba has already figured out what I'm about to say, regardless. On the evening of that day, Mr. Natsume asked me to come by his room later that night. So it was Mr. Natsume who approached you? Yes, ma'am. As requested, I came by Mr. Natsume's room. In order to discuss any methods he could take to seize the inheritance from Miss Sakura. What a greedy bastard. Naturally, I tried to dissuade him from that course of thought. However, it was to no avail. At last, Mr. Natsume came up with the most heinous method. He proposed killing Miss Sakura, didn't he? Yes, you have it exactly correct, sir. No way! I knew Mr. Natsume couldn't be serious about actually following through with his plan, but I couldn't take that chance. Nevertheless, I felt it was necessary to propose an alternative to his boorish plan. A death threat sent to Miss Sakura. That was your proposition, wasn't it? You truly are a great detective, sir. I imagine that Mr. Natsume agreed to it immediately. He was thinking that if the weak-willed Miss Sakura were to be forced into a corner, she would naturally give up her right to the inheritance. Sadly, I cannot confirm what Mr. Natsume was thinking at the time. After he agreed to my suggestion, we did not speak any further. And it was the both of you who sent the death threat to Miss Sakura? No, it'd be more accurate to say it was solely me, ma'am. I drafted up the threat myself and delivered it to Miss Sakura. Everything was my responsibility. Mr. Natsume was simply a disturbed individual that couldn't be left to his own devices. You did everything you could to protect Miss Sakura. I will turn myself into the police once the snowstorm is over. For now, would you mind keeping this a secret in order to prevent too much chaos, sir? I understand. I sincerely apologize for not confessing to my actions earlier. No, thank you for telling us all this. Now that we have to resume our investigation, so I must be going. Of course, sir. The more we learn, the more confused I get in the situation surrounding Mr. Natsume's murder. If anything, it seems more like Mr. Natsume was the perpetrator than the victim. You're not wrong. He had made many threatening remarks on top of being confrontational. It's no wonder he easily made some enemies under this roof. What would the killer gain from killing Mr. Natsume? Could it still be related to the inheritance? Still, I can't deny how strange it is for him to end up being the one murdered. Ishihara is pretty high up on the list. Maybe it's a case of... I still think Ishihara was the personal assistant to Rindo. Maybe had some influence in getting Rindo to turn over the inheritance to Sakura. Maybe even assisted in his suicide, quote-unquote. Other than the fact that they were both killed, there's little similarities between Natsume's and Mr. Sakaki's cases. The aim of killing Natsume couldn't be related to the inheritance. It makes this string of murders all the stranger. Unless the aim for killing Mr. Sakaki also wasn't tied in to the inheritance. Could it be that all this talk of inheritance is ultimately a cover-up for the real reason behind the premeditated murders? However, it's hard to believe that the inheritance doesn't play a role at all. Why do you say that? It's the holographic will we found. It was dated 3 days ago, and we know Mr. Sakaki had lost the use of his hands, so he couldn't have written it himself. This means that the... here we go. This means that the amanuensis is unquestionably involved. Amanuensis, yeah. But how much of the will was approved by Mr. Mr. Sakura, and how much of it was their own doing? I get you. If the agent is indeed Miss Sakura, then we've already solved the case. On the other hand, if it wasn't Miss Sakura, then it becomes a question of who would want her to inherit everything and why. I still think it's Ishihara. Precisely. If we think about it carefully, the common thread between two murders is that they both involve Sakura in some fashion. However, Sakura has an alibi for when Natsume was killed. Yeah, Azusa, Aoi, and I were playing cards with her. Indeed. If we were to count everyone who had solid alibis on the night of the 10th, we have you, Azusa, Aoi, Sakura, and Inspector Harima. That makes 5 people. Furthermore, Saseboto and Ishihara met her early this morning, and were able to provide an alibi for each other. Oh yeah, 2 AM, which brings our total to 7 thus far, so it wasn't Ishihara. If we count you and Dr. Harima, who spent the night at your guest room, we have 9 people. So it would seem. I think we put together all we can for now. Huh? Are you sure, Mr. Inaba? I'm positive. What? Now then, everyone, how is the deduction going? The truth is, you have already gathered all the information and evidence you are able to. Who is the killer? How did they do it? What is their motive? Detective Sogo Inaba stands ready to unveil the case. And everyone else? Well, the rest depends on you. Now go and solve the mystery with skill and pizzazz. Oh. Oh? I didn't time to save the game. My mistake. Once you piece together the case, please speak to your amazing assistant, Nina Arimura. Ooh. Let's go on one last time. We're getting close to the end. Let's do it. Arimura, would you mind gathering everyone to the dining room? Eh? Mr. Inaba, does this mean? Yes, I'm ready to put together the case. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So we were able to piece together the entire case, Mr. Inaba. Yes, ma'am. Then please, let us hear your deduction. Of course, ma'am. Let us look back at what's happened. Allow me to first explain Mr. Natsume's case. Ooh. Our second victim was Natsume Sakaki. He was killed in his own room and his body was discovered wearing a raincoat inside out. The time of death was around 2:10 a.m. The killer had stabbed Mr. Natsume 5 times in the chest and slit his throat open. The carpet was soaked with a large amount of blood, and the blood had even splattered all the way to the bookshelf. As for the murder weapon, it was a knife taken from the kitchen. To speak on the state of the room further, there was no chance an outside third party could have conducted the killing. To speak plainly, the killer is one of us. That can't be! Mr. Inaba, if I may interject, the killer would likely have blood splattered on them during the act. The only traces of blood we found was on the raincoat the victim was wearing, as well as on the gloves that were stuffed in the raincoat pocket. There's also the towel we found in Mr. Kurita's room. If I recall, those gloves belonged to Mr. Kurita, as well as the raincoat. Those are Mr. Kurita's too. Kurita, did you? No, Miss Akane, it wasn't me. Before we jump to conclusions and point fingers at each other, wait until the end of my deductions, if you please. As Arimura stated, the killer would have the victim's blood on them. However, we only found blood on these items we've mentioned earlier. Inspector Harima, Arimura, and myself searched high and low to find any trace the killer left behind of their bloody clothing. However, we all came up empty. This leads me to think that the killer used a certain trick to prevent blood from catching on them. What do you mean? The killer used something at the very site of the crime to prevent blood splatter from getting on them. It was... Oh. It was the raincoat. Can I highlight the raincoat? Take that! Indeed, the killer used the raincoat the victim was wearing to prevent the blood from getting on them. A what? And you're saying that before Mr. Natsume was wearing the raincoat, the killer wore it first? You are exactly right. That is how Mr. Natsume ended up wearing the raincoat inside out. This was the reason why only the outside of the raincoat was covered in blood, but not the inside. The killer would also use this to prevent the victim's blood from spilling even more than it did. And, of course, serve to protect themselves from the blood splatters. That makes sense. Why'd the killer put the raincoat on Mr. Natsume in the first place? Simple. It was in order to not make a mess of the room. The room? I'm confused here. Mr. Natsume's room was absolutely covered in blood. I can't fathom why it was so important the killer to put the raincoat on Mr. Natsume after the murder. Recall the scene of the crime, Dr. Hartman. There was certainly a lot of blood on the books on the bookshelf, and on the carpet in Mr. Natsume's room. If it was absent from the floor, wasn't a drop of blood to be seen. Doesn't that strike you as unusual? Or unnatural? So the killer wiped all the blood off the floor. Then, to make sure it didn't get dirty again, dressed up the victim in the raincoat afterwards. Now, did that make more sense for everyone? Not exactly, Nina. The killer still left the books, carpet covered in blood. So why would they only care about the blood on the floor? Footprints? Let's think outside the box here. When you get blood on something, what type of materials can't easily be cleaned? It would be fabrics made out of cloth and linen and papers and... Ah! I get it now! The killer didn't clean up the books and the carpet because they couldn't once blood got on them. Good job, Arimura. Isn't that more strange? Why would the killer only bother cleaning up the floor when there are other blood splatters that would incriminate them anyway? Because it was most vital for It was most vital the killer wipe up that blood to begin with. It would be incriminating evidence that would tie the killer to the crime without fail. So they had to do everything in their power to wipe it up. Evidence that would tie them to the crime? I don't understand the significance at all. How does the blood in my older brother's room end up exposing the killer, Mr. Investigator? Not quite, Asusa. Wasn't the blood in your older brother's room that the killer cleaned up? I'm sorry, but what are you babbling about? All I'm hearing is a bunch of roundabout nonsense. Make less and less sense with every word you speak, detective. Now let me explain it in full detail. The entire trick behind this case is... We didn't investigate the rug, so, I mean, in theory, it's not impossible to wrap him up in the rug and switch the books around that were bloody. That's gotta be it. The killer switched the crime scene. You mean that Mr. Natsume's room is not the original crime scene? That is correct. And where was the murder originally committed at? In the killer's room. In their own room? The killer called Mr. Natsume over to their own room and then killed him there. However, they were well aware that if anyone were to discover the victim's body in their room, they would become the top suspect. That's why the killer switched the crime scene to Mr. Natsume's room, so it would seem like the murder occurred there instead. And the killer wiped up all the blood that was in their own room? Precisely, Dr. Harima. Any materials that had blood that couldn't be wiped up were swapped with the same materials found in the victim's room. Oh. I see now. So the floor of Natsume's room didn't have blood wiped from it because it never had blood on it to begin with. That's correct, Asusa. Who is it, Mr. Inaba? Who's the killer? The person who killed Mr. Natsume in their own room is... Oh, fuck. Wait, with that knowledge, that invalidates Ishihara's alibi. Shun Ishihara, you were the one who killed Mr. Natsume in your own quarters. Huh? Mr. Ishihara is Mr. Natsume's killer? No, it can't be. Just a moment, Mr. Inaba. Mr. Ishihara had an alibi. He was with me at the time of the murder. Remind me again where the two of you met? We met in front of Mr. Ishihara's room, sir. Exactly, and he didn't let you in. As I said, the crime was being done in the killer's, Mr. Ishihara's room during that time. Oh, that's well done. That's well done. He wouldn't let you in. The whole improper to let a lady in your room thing. Oh, that completely changed that around. And then, while I was speaking to Mr. Ishihara in his room, Mr. Natsume was... Yes, Mr. Natsume was on the floor, bleeding to death. Do you have any evidence that points to me being the killer, sir? I do. Let's hear it. The evidence that directly points to Mr. Ishihara being Mr. Natsume's killer is... Oh boy. I wonder if it's... is it? Damn it! Sing this through again. The books! Blood-soaked books on Mr. Natsume's bookshelf were the decisive piece of evidence that point to Mr. Ishihara being his killer. Why the books? Yes, as I said earlier, Mr. Ishihara had switched the crime scene. And for anything that had blood on it that couldn't be wiped off was swapped between Mr. Ishihara's room and Mr. Natsume's room. In short, even things that were Mr. Ishihara's own personal property needed to be swapped. Of course. All those books that had blood stuck on them were originally from Mr. Ishihara's room, right? Indeed, Arimura. If you can recall, some of the titles of Mr. Ishihara's books were Fundamental for Cooking, Worry-Free Living, Healthy Habits, Healthy Life. That's literally in everyone's room. Yes, those are certainly mine, sir. Hold on. Those books are ones that I gifted to every member of my household, domestic helpers included. Mother's correct. I have those books too. I even gave those books to Natsume, despite the fact he was never with the patience to read, bless his soul. They should still be sitting on his shelf. Yes, and everyone's books were accounted for. Even Mr. Ishihara's books were still there after the murder. The problem lies in the arrangement. The books in both Mr. Ishihara's and Mr. Natsume's rooms were changed around a bit. Okay, the books were rearranged. So what? People's bookshelves get rearranged all the time, but Natsume's? Really? Unless you're telling me you're so perfect that yours never changes? I'm not wrong, Miss Akane. Ordinarily, people do move around their books, their bookshelves, a bit in day-to-day life. If that's the case, sir, how does this implicate me as the killer, sir? Just one thing. I found something peculiar in Mr. Natsume's bookshelf that shouldn't be there in the first place. Huh? It was a diary, titled Kyo's Tips to Housekeeping. When you were swapping the contents between the two rooms, you made an error and overlooked this diary amidst the belongings. The diary is yours, correct? Shun? I will admit that this diary belongs to me, sir. However, I absolutely have no motive for killing Mr. Natsume. So it wasn't all for Miss Sakura's sake? Huh? Me? Busted. Are you going to tell me I'm wrong? You truly are a great detective, sir. You literally told me this 10 minutes ago. Well, what do you mean? I demand an explanation. I agree. I believe a detailed explanation is in order. It all started on the night of the 10th. The first day that Arimura, Dr. Harima, and I came to this residence. It was that evening Miss Shimizu witnessed Mr. Ishihara entering Mr. Natsume's room. Yes, that's right. It was then that Mr. Natsume wanted to discuss a certain matter with him. And what would that be? Mr. Natsume was trying to find any underhanded method possible to receive the inheritance for himself, Mr. Sabaki. Shortly into the conversation, he proposed that I kill Miss Sakura. Made a counter-proposal to send a death threat to her instead. And are you saying that the death threat I received was? Yes, it was all my doing, Miss Sakura. I am truly sorry to put you through such distress. And that is all I have to say on my detailed explanation. Tell them, Ishihara. Mr. Ishihara, I can only form conjecture from here, but I must ask, was that truly the last time you spoke with Mr. Natsume? Did it really end with you delivering a death threat to Miss Sakura? It's just as you're thinking, Mr. Inaba. Mr. Natsume was not satisfied with simply sending a death threat. His mind was set. He could only be satiated once Miss Sakura was killed in cold blood. Man, I knew some lame-ass death threat wouldn't work. What's the fucking point if Sakura won't give up the family inheritance? We're going back to plan A. We gotta kill her ASAP. But Mr. Natsume, go so far as to murder someone. Nevertheless, your younger sister is... Chill out. I got this all under control. As long as you got money, you You make anything look like an accident in a snap, right? And Ishihara, if you stitch on me, I'll kill you too, got it? Are you serious, sir? Look at my face, I'm dead serious. I'm thinking about building my own company where we do things my way. For that I need money. A lot of money. Taking my shitty old man's filthy money makes me want to puke. I need it to make my dream come true. Gotta do it for my special lady. To do it for her sake. Need to be able to take care of her. I see. So that's how it is. Huh? You got something to say? Mr. Natsume. What? I will kill Miss Sakura for you. Well, that is what happened on our second meeting. Natsume, he... That's what I knew in my heart. I had no choice but to kill Mr. Natsume. Oh, why? Tell me why. Your husband was... Your fiancé was a sleazeball who was willing to commit murder. That's why. It's because Mr. Ishihara, too, had a special someone he needed to protect. So that at least solves one lingering question on my mind. Question being, why did Mr. Natsume not run away upon seeing a strange figure dressed in a raincoat and gloves wielding a kitchen knife indoors? No matter how long you live under the same roof, if you were to suddenly see an acquaintance dressed like that, there will be alarms going off in your head. Now it all comes together. On the surface it appeared you were complicit in his crime, but you're waiting for the moment to strike and kill him. Precisely as you said, sir. You told Mr. Natsume that his plan was ready for action. Therefore I requested he come by my quarters late that night to lay out the plans for me one last time. Whoa, I can't believe you're really doing this. Yes, I plan to stab Miss Sakura in her sleep. And what about the cop? Don't worry, I'll have it taken care of, sir. Okay then, what's with the getup? It's so no blood splatters will get on me. Interesting. That's some real smart thinking, Ishihara. It's nothing, sir. What's up? Don't tell me you're getting cold feet already. This will be the last time I will ask you this, Mr. Natsume. Do you still intend to go through with this? Yeah, I can't stop now. Not when I'm this close. Well then, pardon me, Mr. Natsume. I need to practice my murder plan. Would you lie down here so I can practice, get the exact points that I need to stab right, get the throat thing going, just to make sure I got that down. Yeah, because that's, what do you... I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Now, let me practice. Let me practice a few more times on you. And a moment later, Sasimoto came by. I quickly took off the raincoat and the gloves and went to speak to her in the hallway. After sending Mr. Sasimoto off, you began your work of switching the crime scene. Yes, sir. I also realized at the time I could use Sasimoto stopping by my quarters as an alibi for the early morning of the 12th. You then put Mr. Natsume's body into the raincoat turned inside out, and you transported him with the carpet so that it wouldn't dirty the halls. After that, any materials that had blood on them that could be washed off were cleaned. Anything that couldn't was swapped between your rooms. Exactly as you said, sir. Made every effort to ensure everything was properly swapped. However, the diary completely slipped my notice. With that, we conclude the case of Mr. Natsume's murder. Mr. Inaba, I do have one question. What's that? Yesterday, the whole incident with the teacup, was that Mr. Ishihara as well? No, that wasn't me, ma'am. Eh? Then who did it? Natsume, who else? He was the one who wanted to kill Sakura. No, the criminal wasn't Mr. Natsume in this case. Huh? The person who tampered with Miss Sakura's teacup was. Oh. I don't actually know. don't think it was these. Don't think it was the housekeepers. Wasn't Aoi. Wasn't Azusa. Guess it'd be Tsubaki or Yuki. These are treasure poisons. I think there's still once more. Akane Sakaki, you were the one who tampered with Miss Sakura's teacup. Now why would you do that? But what? Why would you accuse me of all people? Hold on a minute. Would someone mind filling me in on what we're currently talking about here? I'm just as lost as you are, Tsubaki. Sounds like someone among us tried to tamper with Sakura's teacup. Oh, did she literally just admit to it right in front of us? By being the only one who knew about it? This is the first I've heard about it. You are correct, Asusa. Majority of you are not aware of this incident. I want everyone to recall last night's dinner. Mr. Ishihara told everyone that the dish was broken, so all the tableware needed to be replaced. The truth of the matter was that someone among us attempted to poison Miss Sakura's teacup with methanol alcohol, but they dropped the teacup by mistake. The only ones who knew of this were myself, Arimura, Dr. Harima, Mr. Ishihara, and Miss Sasimoto. Ergo, all Arimura said earlier was the whole incident with the teacup. And how did you know about the nature of the crime and that the target was Miss Sakura? Mind telling me how you gained this knowledge, Miss Akane? That's because I remember during dinner you instantly knew it was a teacup that was broken and even dropped Miss Sakura's name in the conversation. Not like it'll matter. Sakura would just end up breaking another teacup again either way. Yeah, and then she said, "Oh, dear me. Thankfully, I haven't broken anything recently, Akane." Akane. Damn. And here I thought you were okay. You were borderline valid, but I guess not. Shit. When it comes to broken dishes, anyone would normally think of the housekeeper, Miss Sasimoto. Now, if your first instinct was Miss Sakura, was it because you knew beforehand that Miss Sakura's teacup was the dish that was broken? Well, Miss Akane? Yeah, it was me. Akane? Why? Because I'm the only one that can succeed Dad's business. I want that inheritance as badly as anyone else here. In order to fulfill Dad's expectations, I first need to prove my worth to him as a future heir. So I studied, and studied, and studied. Even after getting accepted into a great university, I still studied from dusk to dawn and worked my ass off. But they never acknowledged me in the slightest. That's why I tried my damnedest to be even better than him. All I wanted was to hear him once say, "I never expected such grand things from you, my daughter. You have surpassed even me." But now that can happen. Now that could never happen. If I could show him the fruits of my labor, he died. So, Akane. Wanted the inheritance, sure. But that detective told us that one of us murdered my dad. Kept thinking it over in my head. But Sakura might have murdered him just to secure his inheritance all for herself. You thought it would be best if your sister had a taste of her own medicine, didn't you, Akane? Yeah. Once I poured the contents of that vial of methanol alcohol in my sister's teacup, I got really scared. I was thinking about doing something so drastic, my hands were trembling non-stop. Couldn't hold on to the teacup and I dropped it, and I ran away. I just don't have the courage to kill someone. Killing someone isn't courageous, Miss Akane. Maybe you're right. It really isn't. The incident with the teacup has nothing to do with Mr. Natsume's case. The two cases are not related at all. Well done. Mr. Inaba, I want to thank you for finally uncovering who murdered my Natsume. What about my beloved husband? Who murdered him? Of course, ma'am. Now allow me to solve the mystery surrounding Mr. Sakaki's murder. Next time, on the Mystery Files of Detective Inaba.